Fairborn City Schools is proud to present the Hall of Honor Class of 2024.
Good evening, and welcome to the 35th Annual Hall of Honor Enshrinement. Would you please give your listening ears to Karen McDermott Petros and the McDermott family for the bridge builder.
This is the bridge builder. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening, cold and gray, to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim, the sullen stream had no fear for him. But he turned when safe on the other side, and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said the fellow pilgrim near, you are wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day, you will never again will pass away. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide, why build this bridge at evening tide? The good builder lifted his old gray head. Good friend, in the path I have come, he said, there followed after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way, this chasm that has been as naught to me. To that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be, he too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him.
So welcome to the 35th Annual Hall of Honor Enshrinement. We're honored to have community and family members join us for an incredible evening which honors the sons and daughters of the Fairborn City School District and the Fairborn community. There are people here from coast to coast and many points in between. They are friends and acquaintances, and we come together tonight to honor those people who have brought great credit to themselves, their chosen profession, to the Fairborn City School District and the community. As the colors are brought forward by the Fairborn High School Air Force Junior ROTC, please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Breathing. Colors.
I would now like to introduce Pastor Tim Walden from City Church, who will give the invocation.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, of your goodness, your mercy, your grace, your love. We thank you, Lord, for all these inductees. We ask, God, that you would bless them and move upon them and strengthen them and help them. We're thankful for what they've accomplished and what they've done. Lord, to serve this great school, to serve this great city. We, Lord, also appreciate all the school staff that's here. And we pray blessings upon them as well, that you would move upon them and touch them. And Lord, as we are moving the high school to a new location, we pray, Father, Lord, that you would make this a smooth transition. And God, that you would bless those that have made that possible. And Lord, we're thankful for goodness, and we're thankful for your love, and we're thankful for all these that are here to participate. And we pray blessings upon them as well, as we look to you, the author, the finisher of our faith, and we stand on your promises and believe in your word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Walden. I would now like to introduce the Fairborn Board of Education President, Mr. Jerry Browning, to share some remarks.
Good evening. On behalf of the Fairborn Board of Education, I'd like to welcome you home to Fairborn Schools. Each of you brings great honor to your alma mater, and we are honored that you're here with us tonight. Fairborn graduates and inductees into the Hall of Honor are making incredible contributions throughout our country and abroad. So tonight we have the opportunity to share the incredible talent of graduates of Fairborn City Schools. We're honored to have all of you here tonight with your family, friends, and the Fairborn community. Thank you.
Many of Fairborn City Schools students are participating in these enshrinement activities. Students participated in Friday morning inductee sessions, vocalists in the chamber chorale, instrumentalists in the orchestra, and cadets of the color guard. Student ambassadors and ushers are also participating this evening. These students honor the current student body at Fairborn High School and the history and pride of Fairborn City Schools. The connection between the past and present helps to meet a goal of the Hall of Honor, that current students may draw inspiration from and establish future goals based on the accomplishments of those who have gone before. On stage tonight, we have Student Congress President Brianna Kelly, who will deliver the student message for this evening. Brianna?
Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Brianna Kelly, and I am president of Fairborn High School Student Congress. I have been with Fairborn City Schools since I was in the 7th grade. Fairborn is important to me in many ways. When I first moved to Ohio 5 years ago, I was given the choice to pick what school I wanted to attend. As soon as I entered Fairborn, I knew it was a community that I wanted to be a part of. A school is not a place where you learn, but should also be a place that you feel a connection to. Leading Student Congress has taught me that everyone has the ability to be a part of something great. They just have to go for it. I would have never imagined my freshman year that I would be a part of something that brings me so much pride and honor. Honor to me means having admiration and respect for people and things in life. It is an honor to speak at this ceremony full of people that I respect so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Superintendent Jean Lawley has served in the Fairborn City School District as principal of Fairborn High School, then director of business affairs. He has served as superintendent for 7 years. Mr. Lawley has been instrumental in the passing of a bond issue, which is funding the construction of a new high school, which will open in August of 2024 on Commerce Center Boulevard, and which will help to fund a new middle school. His passion for Fairborn City Schools and this community is unwavering. With the opening of a new school, Mr. Lawley has set the stage for an incredible future with state-of-the-art educational facilities and technology. I introduce Superintendent Jean Lawley.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin my short little talk, I would like to recognize a group, and that group is the Hall of Honor Selection Committee. Would those members please rise if you are out there, and we have some upon stage. A lot of hard work and dedication, and many of these members have been doing this for a lot of years. On behalf of the Board of Education, myself, we deeply thank you for putting this together all these years. Thank you. Pam, thank you. Again, good evening, and welcome to the 35th Annual Enshrinement Ceremony of the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor. We are so honored to have each of you with us here tonight. As I speak tonight, the Fairborn City School District is beginning a new era. The Fairborn community has passed bond issues to build all new schools, with elementary schools completed, the opening of the new high school in August of 2024, and the opening of a middle school to follow. We are expanding educational opportunities for our students, and we are preparing them for the future with the skill sets needed to further their education, training, or service. These students look at each of you as an inspiration as to what is possible. As they learn about each of you, they realize that if they work hard and make a commitment to their future, the sky is the limit. Congratulations on your achievements. You bring great honor and pride to the Fairborn City Schools. Congratulations.
The words to the Fairborn alma mater were penned by Harry Smith, class of 1912, who served the Fairborn schools for 40 years and who is enshrined in the Hall of Honor. He set the words to the familiar and well-known music of the Cornell University alma mater. This is an important tradition in the enshrinement ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand and recall your special high school memories as the Chamber Chorale sings the Fairborn High School alma mater. We have some previous inductees who are with us this evening to celebrate. When your name is announced, will you please stand? Stephen A. Wolliver, class of 1968. Warren K. Brown, class of 1960. Colonel Michael P. Revman, class of 1969. Michael G. Hazley, class of 1967. Norma Watson Nicola, FCS nurse extraordinaire. Michael L. Seaworth, class of 1963. Barbara W. Parsons, Fairborn City Schools teacher, senior class advisor, and a critical component to this evening. She's in the back. M. Joyce Dennis, Fairborn City Schools teacher. Anne Armstrong Inglesby, class of 1966. We will now begin with the 7 inductees who will be enshrined this evening. Catherine Durfee Frank, Marjorie Reynolds Gehring, Barry S. Gluck, Jason J. Lyons, J. Craig Moore, Arundhati V. Venkaya, and Michael L. Yeary. We always have students participate in this program, and I'm going to do this now to introduce the ushers who helped you to your seats this evening. Hayder Askar is the class of 2024 historian. He's an honor student who is taking part in College Credit Plus and will attend Wright State University next year and major in computer science. Peyton Baer is the class of 2024 treasurer. She is an honor student who is currently taking a full college course load and working a part-time job. She plans to attend Sinclair Community College to become a dental hygienist. Jessica Cleaves is the class of 2024 president. She is the salutatorian of her class and is involved in Fairborn's biomedical sciences program. She plans to become a physician's assistant. Jada Eskridge is the class of 2024 vice president. She's an honor student taking both high school and college courses. She will be attending The Ohio State University in the fall and majoring in biology. Ryan Gapinski is the class of 2024 secretary. He's very involved in the Air Force Junior ROTC program, serving as cadet group commander. He's going to join the ROTC program at Wright State University and major in mechanical engineering. Uyen Nguyen is the class of 2024 assistant treasurer who was responsible for the database that tracked over 30,000 chocolate bars sold for the New York City senior trip. She plans to attend the University of Dayton and become a CPA. So congratulations to those students, and thank you for your hard work. So now back to the 7 inductees. J. Craig Moore graduated in 1968 from Fairborn High School, where he was a member of the a cappella choir and choraleers. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Education from the University of Cincinnati and a Master's in Educational Administration from the University of Dayton. In 1973, he joined the Fairborn City Schools, where he taught 8th grade American history for 32 years. He also taught driver's education and coached wrestling and football at both the junior high school and Baker High School. He was a member of the Academic Council, Athletic Board of Control Committee, and was the treasurer of the Fairborn Education Foundation. He played an active role in facilitating classmate Richard Helms' generous donation of over $3.5 million to the Fairborn City Schools. As a researcher and author, Craig has documented the merger of Osborne and Fairfield and is currently chronicling 100 years of the Fairborn schools, and it was his proposal to call the new stadium Alumni Field to showcase the history of the schools and to honor the Skyhawks, the Vikings, and the Flyers. He is a member of the Hall of Honor and the Athletic Hall of Fame committees and a board member of the Fairborn Area Historical Society. He was inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame in 2022, and tonight he joins his brother J. Chris Moore in the Hall of Honor. Superintendent Lawley, it is my honor to present J. Craig Moore for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
Well, I guess they're going to let the senior citizen go first. Okay, wow, never in my mind did I dream that I'd ever be so honored. I'm just so thankful. I'd also like to congratulate my fellow enshrinees tonight who all have great resumes. And I'm joined here tonight with Mike, Yuri, and Barry. So we're kind of having a 60s Flyers reunion tonight. Let's hear it, Flyers. Okay. My parents taught me a great work ethic, as well as a stressing for the importance of education. Older brother and sister set the academic standard that was expected, but educators were nearby in the community. My first grade teacher, Mrs. McMahon, lived 4 houses down the street. Third grade teacher, Mrs. Whitney, 3rd grade, and her husband Ray was my Little League coach, and Mike Yuri was on that team with me. So the community's really tight here. Okay, then Bob Martin, who was my principal in junior high, and also hired me into the school district with his son was in Boy Scouts. So you can see the community was really involved back in those days. As you can see in my bio, I was very involved musically. Little did I know that working with others, starting at so young of an age, 7, taught me how to be a team player. Singing as a trio with my siblings, where brother Chris led the way musically. He's the reason today I've got such an appreciation for all forms of music and the performing arts. But team activities continued when I joined the Dayton Boys Choir, then with a cappella choir and choraleers in high school. Learning to work with others, and most importantly, the realization you didn't have to be the top performer or the star to be successful. The team or the entire group's success was a goal. And a little sidelight here, in the 60s, the Fairborn Music Department was not to be messed with. The choral department was super, and you didn't mess with the Fairborn Marching Band and the Flyerettes. Some individual teachers certainly made a difference for me, starting with my father, Jack, and Grandpa, Glenn Moore. They were great at building things that had many tools, which always interested me, teaching me how to work with tools and woodworking equipment, which has stayed with me to this day. They were my first mentors, and they were completely different from my musical experience. But school classes played an important role too. I took mechanical engineering drafting, which taught me a new level of patience, neatness, and accuracy, different from being in musical groups. Mr. Earl Marshall taught a class called Architectural Drafting my junior year. Weekly, we discussed the house design of the week from the newspaper. And that year, I learned how to draw foundations, kitchen designs, basements, floor plans, and by the end of the year, each student had designed their own home. I still got mine. It was never built. That might be a good thing. The architecture class and working with tools was so enjoyable and rewarding. But I taught history, right? My love of history had started early with family vacations to Washington, D.C., Gettysburg, Boston. And my dad took me to the USS Constitution and Old Ironsides, and he took my picture there on my hand on the stern wheel. I never forgot that. Then I had 3 social studies teachers here at Fairborn High School. But my first one was Al Gilbert in 8th grade. He taught Ohio history, and he did a mock trial of the trial of Vice President Aaron Burr. I was the prosecuting attorney. My longest friend, Steve Oliver, was the defense attorney. I lost. But in history, Aaron Burr was never convicted either. And then Al Gilbert also told me years later, he says, you know, Craig, no prosecutors ever won. So I felt a little bit better. But he had a great sense of humor, he made history fun, and it certainly was a rewarding experience in the 8th grade. Bob Harris taught economics, you know, the dismal science. He made that come alive, and the guy was, I think, 6'10". He was a gigantic man, but he had a great sense of humor. And then in summer school between my junior and senior year, Corwin Georges taught me civics. He was young, energetic, knew his subject matter, and was concise in his presentation to get the information across in the short summer school time period. I wanted to be a history teacher like him, but add the humor of Bob Harris and Al Gilbert. Well, my teaching career started, and quickly, remember the idea with teams? It came quickly again. They came to my door in my room, and hey, we need an 8th grade assistant football coach. I said, well, my background's in music. And they said, don't worry about it. We got a great guy to work with. His name was Floyd Seitz. He taught me everything I needed to know. He took me to coaching clinics, and he took me scouting trips, and I really enjoyed that year. And eventually, I worked my way up to the varsity level, and I had 2 great people there to work with. Dean Harmony was one. He encouraged me to go to coaching clinics. And the other one was Mike Wolford. Mike was the line coach, and he just had a great, easy connection with the students. But you know what I learned with coaching? You practice to make the perfect play. In music, you practice to make the song perfect. But in coaching, the other side's doing something to make you change. In music, the only thing you could probably change is if the set fell in or somebody was out of tune. So that was really important to me. But let me, then Chuck Turwood came to me the same year and asked me to be a wrestling coach. I said, whoa, wait a minute, I knew a little bit about football, but nothing about wrestling except what I saw on television. So sure enough, I did the 8th grade, and the kids came over from the high school. They taught the class, the wrestling techniques and everything like that. And I got through that and eventually worked my way all the way up the level to the varsity level. So let me get to the point here. I also did a lot of academic stuff, right? I mean, your job of a teacher is to be academically important. Teaching academics is certainly important, but I found teaching or working with kids in extracurricular activities gave you a whole different perspective with students, especially students who you didn't have in your class. So you got to meet more kids within the district, and I think that's very important. Academically, I was fortunate to work with a lot of great colleagues. Many I see here tonight. There's too many to mention without fear of leaving somebody out. During the end of my career, we went to a concept in teaching called a team teaching. There's the team again. And I worked with Debbie Reeder, Craig McDonald, and Doug Wanty, and they were great to work with. So you can see the team concept was a factor in my young life and school life and career life. I'd be remiss if I didn't address my most important team activity. I became involved in class reunions over many years. One reunion led to the following. A fellow 68 classmate who'd worked on reunions pulled me aside at the 50th reunion and wanted to reward me with a trip to his home in Florida. He invited me to be there, and several times during that trip, he asked me, he says, you know, in my trips back to Fairborn, I've noticed it's different. I'd like to help the city out, or the schools out. He never told me how much he was willing to donate, and so he wanted to remain anonymous. So my job started right away researching ideas of what he could possibly donate to. So after discussing a lot of certain areas, eventually I met with Superintendent Lawley, and he brought up the idea of a new school and 86 acres to put it on. He said, do you think the donor would be interested in doing anything for that? And I said, whoa, that's a leap. I don't even know how much he wants to give. But eventually we brought the donor in, and I sat down with him, and at that meeting, he agreed to pay for all 86 acres. It was one of those moments in your life where you're breathless. I was stunned. But I also realized what had just happened. He not only was going to help the city of Fairborn, he was going to help the students for the future. And I thought that was really great. So, we all know from my bio that the man's name was Richard H. Helms, and he donated all the money that's already been mentioned. So here again you can see I was a member of a team, a facilitator of a man's desire to give back to the community that had raised him. It was an honor for me to be a part of it. So never be afraid to give up your individuality to be part of a team. One doesn't have to be the star. Please believe me when I say just being a part of a team is very rewarding. I'm thankful to have been a member of several teams that have enriched my life and my career, to my alma mater, and to the city that I love, Fairborn. Fairborn, Ohio is on my diploma. Every student from Fairborn since 1950 has got Fairborn on there. And I'm a student of Fairborn history. We're the only Fairborn in the world. Now you can Google me if you want, and you'll find a Fairborn, Wales in the United Kingdom. But I'm sorry folks, they don't know how to spell it. They spell it F-A-I-R-B-O-U-R-N-E. We're the only Fairborn, F-A-I-R-B-O-R-N. And when I talked to the students today, I held up my diploma and I said, be proud and shout out Fairborn because we're the only one. Thanks a lot, I appreciate it.
Catherine Durfee Frank graduated in Little Valley, New York in 1949 and married Norton Frank in 1951, moving to Fairborn for his service with the Air Force. She received her Bachelor of Science in Education, magna cum laude, and her master's degree from Wright State. She joined the Fairborn City School System as a second-grade teacher at Central Elementary School and pioneered the gifted program in the school district. Her philosophy was to challenge young minds to excel, think critically, and use all of their innate senses and skills. One of her more successful endeavors was to guide her students into creating a children's brochure for the Dayton Art Institute, which became an invaluable source for the Institute. The gifted program she established is still in place in the Fairborn City Schools and ranks in the top 5 in the state of Ohio. She taught for 23 years, and many of her former students consider her the best teacher they ever had. Catherine was a docent emeritus at the Dayton Art Institute and a member of the Friends of the Fairborn Library. She was also an avid quilter and bridge player. Sadly, she passed away in 2007, leaving behind her children, Norton, Martin, Mary Beth Palm, her 7 grandchildren, Katie, Tress, Nicholas, Brocky, Nolan, Caitlin, and Annalise, and her 5 great-grandchildren, Bodie, Charlie, Kenzie, Harper, and Nash. Superintendent Lally, it is my great honor to present Catherine Durfee Frank for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I was going to say something, but man, she said it all. Where am I supposed to go? That was wonderful. I was reading it and there I go, oh, my presentation is already in the book. Good evening, ladies and germs. My name's Marty Frank, Catherine Frank's son. You know, and I've had the pleasure to public speak in the past, and when I do, I always pretend that you're the class, and I'm the teacher, okay? So, class, welcome. Hi, teacher. Hi, guys. And as I look around at all the honorees and the guest speakers and what's going on, I've got to say, this is the most distinguished audience I have ever had a chance to talk to. So you got that going for yourself. Thank you. Okay, my name's Marty. We want to thank the Academy for the award. Very nice. I'm joined tonight by my older brother. How is that? My older brother, Norton. My sister, Mary Beth, grandkids, Caitlin, Annalise, and my wife, my daughter-in-law, my wife, Mary Brannigan Frank. Thanks for coming with me. Somehow, the powers that be tracked down my sister in Nashville, Tennessee. How? You can answer that later. Mary Beth calls me and says, they got a hold of me and they want us to come to this event and we're supposed to get up and talk for 5 or 10 minutes. I said, Mary Beth, nobody wants to hear us talk for 5 or 10 minutes. Just get up there, say thanks, and where's the punch? And last week, Mary Beth calls me and says, will you give the speech tomorrow? Yeah, you know what I was supposed to say to that. As I said, I have done some public speaking, but I've never spoke about my mom. So we'll see how it goes. Here, we're at home. We're at home, growing up. And we didn't know Mom was a teacher. We knew her as our mom. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. We heard about her classrooms and stuff, you know, around the dinner table talking. But we do know that Mom did a lot of things well. My mom, and I thought it was cum laude, was it magna cum laude from Wright State? She was pretty good at that. In choir, my mom was a soprano soloist. You know those people, they get up there and sing their lungs out. And I can still hear Mom and Dad practicing the Messiah around the piano. We all got to know that song pretty good, didn't we? Yeah, we sure as hell did. Mom was a quilter extraordinaire. Anybody need a quilt? We've got a bunch of them. Woo! She and Dad were birders. Mom, I'm going to Lake Erie to go fishing this weekend. She goes, oh, your dad and I just got back. What were you doing in Lake Erie? They have bird paradises up there. They would be birding. Mom, I went down to Reelfoot, Tennessee, went crappie fishing. She goes, oh, my dad, we've been there. What? Yeah, they're birding down there. They birded all over the place. I ended up with a couple of her bird books. All kinds of little notes. And her and Dad were avid bridge players. When she died, we had a wake, and at the service, her second husband, John Head, he was talking to me, and he goes, can you believe all the people that are coming to this thing? Mom had a lot of admirers, and a few of them were students when she taught. Okay, quick show of hands. Who here has been to a memorial for their elementary teacher? Hey, look. Very nice. My mom had some. You. And I can appreciate that. Okay, class. We're going to have a little class participation. And no cheating. Okay. Little class participation. And remember that class participation is part of your grade. Part of your grade will come from how well you do. Okay, show of hands. Who here has a mother? Be her alive or deceased, who here has a mother? And most everybody has one. Very good. All right. Those of you that raised your hand, who has the best mom in the world? You guys, you don't understand. See, I'm up on the podium. I win. I had the best mom in the world. And I want to thank you for honoring the best mom in the world, okay? And once again, thanks, and where's the punch and cookies?
Barry S. Gluck graduated in 1969 from Fairborn High School, where he earned a varsity letter in tennis. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science and International Relations from The Ohio State University and joined the management program with Reich's Department Store. He was employed at Reich's, Diamonds, and Macy's department stores, and then joined West Coast retailer Ross Stores, where he retired as Executive Vice President of Marketing, Merchandising, and Store Planning. He is the founder and managing director of Gluck Consulting, LLC, which contributes to the growth strategies of retail organizations and is very involved in philanthropy. The Fallen Angels Foundation, which he co-founded with his wife Joan, focuses on those facing homelessness, abandonment, and abuse. He also supports small business as an angel investor, providing advice and capital. He does pro bono consulting, mentorships, internships, and endowed scholarships to the students at The Ohio State University and the University of Notre Dame, and he currently focuses on mentoring Notre Dame student athletes and graduates pursuing a degree in business. Barry and his wife Joan reside in New Hope, Pennsylvania. His two daughters, Jessica and Meredith, live in New Jersey and New York City, and they are all huge fans of Ohio State and Notre Dame athletics. Superintendent Lawley, it is my honor to present Barry S. Gluck for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. And please know that I stand before you humbled and full of gratitude. I want to send a special thanks to all those involved in making tonight possible, especially Pam Gayhart, Sarah Fulton, and my good friend Terry Miller, who has kept me connected to Fairborn in ways I could not have imagined. Finally, a quick shout out to my bride of 44 years, Joan, and my oldest daughter, Jessica, both who are here tonight, as well as congratulations to all those being honored this evening, as well as all of those past honorees. In reflecting back on my time in high school, which was no easy task, as it was a few years ago, I don't remember doing anything remarkable. I went to class, I did my homework, I was a B student, I was not a troublemaker, I played sports every day with my friends after school. I'd like to give a shout out to Gary Jevden, Bill Thacker, Terry Miller, and Ray Lowe. And I even made the men's varsity tennis team, where I had the pleasure to see and play with the greatest athlete I had ever witnessed at the time, Steve Green, a past Hall of Fame honoree. Upon doing a deeper dive, however, there was an aha moment that changed the trajectory of my life journey. One day I brought my report card home, and as usual, I had an A, a C, and a few Bs. My mom looks at it with a very approving eye, and then for some reason turns the card over. At the time, the back of the card had listed a set of competencies. With those were checks, pluses, and minuses. There, under world history, taught by a very serious and committed teacher, Mrs. Norvell, I had received a U for use of effort. At the next parent-teacher meeting, my mom goes in hot, clutching that report card. How could you give my son a U when he got a B in your class? And Mrs. Norvell then calmly stated that in her opinion, I was a straight A student and that I just didn't fully apply myself. From that day forward, I committed to myself to be the hardest working person in any room I was in. Being the smartest person in the room is not always a good thing, and it's literally impossible to measure. But I could control and measure how hard I worked. And as the cliche goes, the harder I worked, the luckier I got. To this day, I give thanks to Fairborn High School, my world history teacher, Mrs. Norvell, who instilled in me the importance of fully applying myself to whatever I pursued in life. Another thing worth mentioning are the incredible memories I have while looking back over close to 60 years. I came to Fairborn in the 8th grade, having gone to school in 6 different states prior, as my dad, who was in the Air Force, kept getting reassigned as he progressed up the ranks. I remained in the area through high school, college, and the first several years of my professional career. I tell folks that Fairborn is where I spent my Wonder Bread years, where I felt safe, happy, and optimistic. I have been fortunate, and I've had the opportunity to travel throughout our country and the world. I can safely say there is nothing that can compare with the genuine warmth, friendliness, kindness, and good-natured attitudes of the family-oriented, hard-working people of the Midwest. For sure. Some of you younger attendees may think that there are cooler, hipper, and more fertile areas of our country. And there are some, and I say go visit them. But know that home is where your heart is, and that all that glitters isn't gold. For some of you older attendees, let me jog your memory with some of the places that still resonate with me. Baseball and football in the streets of Rona Hills. Rona Hills Swim Club, sports courts, and the Lion's Den, where our classmate Gary Moon would perform with the Battle of the Bands every Friday night. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the air shows, the museum, Dodge Gym and all their athletic facilities, and their golf course at night, where, trust me, no one was playing golf. A&W Root Beer, the home of the footlong hot dog, Babe Ruth baseball in Fairfield Park, Yellow Springs, Clifton Gorge, John Bryan State Park, Andy's Dairy for ice cream, the Pizza Hut and not the franchised one, Vic Casano's Pizza, riding your bike everywhere, and once you had your driver's license, driving movies and racing around Frisch's Big Boy. And who can ever forget the Flyerettes? In a way, I feel like I grew up at a time and in a place that was a lot like living in a Hallmark movie. There was just this sense that things would always work out. Fairborn will always have a special place in my heart. I'm happy to still be able to remember, understand, and appreciate how my Wonder Bread years set the tone and provided the foundation for the crazy, wonderful, interesting, challenging, and successful life I've been blessed with having. In closing, I'd like to share a couple of things I learned the hard way during the course of my life journey. First, I firmly believe that you cannot ever fail if you never give up. You either win, learn, or grow from every experience. You can only lose when you decide to quit. 2, as you begin down your own path, realize that success and happiness does not follow in a straight line. Your journey will have ups and downs, switchbacks, slippery slopes, speed bumps, potholes, rest areas, and exit ramps. The key is to find and pursue what you're good at, work hard at being great at it, and never give up on your dreams while you're dreaming big. Know that it won't be easy, but anything worth having usually isn't. And last, no one achieves success on their own. Usually the more success one has, the more people were there to help you. Whether they be teachers, parents, friends, spouses, or specific mentors, always remember them and thank and appreciate them by looking to help others move forward in their own unique journeys. Passing it forward can be life-altering. Thanks again for this great honor of recognition.
Arundhati V. Venkaya graduated in 1991 from Fairborn High School, where she was a member of the yearbook staff, French club, and speech and debate team. She received a bachelor's degree in English from Miami University and a master's degree in journalism from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She was a reporter for the Richmond Palladium Item and then was employed at Dayton Children's Hospital, where she managed media relations. She served as the Dayton B2B and business editor at the Dayton Daily News and was associated with Taylor Healthcare. She began serving as Deputy Director and Chief Communications Officer for the Ohio Department of Health in 2020 and led Ohio's communication efforts through the COVID-19 pandemic. She currently is at Nationwide Children's Hospital, where she oversees media relations and communications. She also helps at Day of Caring 365, a nonprofit founded by her mother that serves 19 partner agencies in Greene, Montgomery, and Miami counties with hygiene and food support. She is a member of the Better Business Bureau of Dayton and has received numerous awards for her achievements. Arundhati and her husband, Gary Pashlit, live in Galena, Ohio, and her twin daughters, Jaya and Arya, are freshmen at Vassar College. Tonight, she joins her brother, Rajiv, in the Hall of Honor. Superintendent Lawley, it is my honor to present Arundhati V. Venkaya for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
Thank you for this recognition. I'm deeply honored. In my mind, I've revisited my childhood quite a bit during the past few months as I was thinking about what to say. I'd like to highlight some of the major influences on my life, including the most valuable lessons I learned from Fairborn City Schools. Any way you look at it, being a kid in junior high or high school can be tough, and it was no different for me. I was awkward, and all I wanted was to fit in. Instead, most days I felt like I was on the island of misfit toys. But fortunately, I had teachers and friends, and most importantly, parents and a brother who steered me in the right direction. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my family to offer some insight into what brought me here. My parents are immigrants. They moved to this country about 60 years ago. My dad came first, leaving his entire family to fly across the world where he didn't know anyone in pursuit of education. He studied hard, got his master's degree and PhD, and ultimately worked for the Air Force at Wright-Patterson for about 40 years. He had opportunities to work in the private sector, but he believed working for the Air Force was his way to thank the country that gave his family so many opportunities. He instilled a drive, work ethic, and belief in service in every member of our family. If you've met my mom, who is here tonight, you know that she's a firecracker. You probably wouldn't know it by looking at her, but she does not give up. When she came to the United States from India all those years ago, she could not believe that people here were hungry and homeless, and she knew she had to do something to help. When I was in high school more than 30 years ago, she started a nonprofit called Day of Caring that has raised more than $1 million for the hungry and homeless in our region, essentially through one fundraiser a year. From her, I've inherited my dogged determination and belief that we all have the ability to improve the lives of others. And my brother Rajiv, who is also here with my nephew Soren, and who is a 1985 Fairborn High School graduate, taught me about competitiveness, perseverance, and friendship. Here's the unvarnished truth about my growing up. I spent most of my childhood trying to be like Rajiv. I was going to be a doctor, and I was going to the same 6-year medical program that he did. In case you didn't know, I am not a doctor. So what happened? I applied to the medical program, but my fatal flaw, my divergent line from Rajiv, was that I did not love to study, and I did not have the grades or the drive back then to go to that medical program. Now, I knew I didn't have the grades, and I knew I didn't have the drive, but for some reason, it still came as a ginormous shock to me when I didn't get accepted. And if I'm being completely honest, I did not have a backup plan. So there I was, a senior in high school, with zero idea about what I was going to do or where I was going to go. Now, I want to add a very important caveat here. This was in no way a reflection on Fairborn City Schools. It was more a consequence of my vague notion of how my life was going to play out. In fact, it was the people of Fairborn City Schools who helped me figure out what to do in that moment of utter cluelessness. When you think about school, I certainly learned all the things you'd expect: how to read, how to add, who was president during the Civil War. But there were other lessons, more intangible lessons, from the teachers here that set me on this path. I'd like to share a few of those. First is the ability to pivot and resilience. In those moments and days after I got the letter rejecting me from the 6-year medical program, I thought about what I loved most about school and where I found the most joy. It was in Mrs. Shelley's yearbook class and in speech and debate club with Mrs. Miller. It was in the ability to share stories and communicate complex ideas. They gave me my plan B, which leads me to the next most valuable lesson: the ability to write and write quickly. I know some of my friends, family, and teachers in the audience will remember SEWR papers. For those of you who aren't familiar with them, here's a quick summary. Rajiv, who we've already established I idolized, took several classes from Mr. SEWR. So when I was old enough, I chose US history and world literature. Grades were based on Friday SEWR papers, and on Friday mornings, Mr. SEWR wrote a question for each class on his chalkboard, and his students had until 3 p.m. to answer the question in essay form. These were not easy questions. They made us think, translate lessons from history and literature, and express them succinctly with references and context to support our ideas. While they caused much anguish and agony for all of those in those classes, Friday SEWR papers were some of my best and favorite parts of high school. Talk about learning how to write on deadline. They prepared me for the world of journalism, and even today, all these years later, writing quickly and being able to translate complex ideas is one of my most valued skills. I have shared those papers, I still have those papers, and I've shared them with my daughters more than once. And P.S., those were probably the only times in high school when I got better grades than Rajiv. He will disagree. A love for reading. Throughout my time at Fairborn, all of my teachers encouraged a love of reading, and I gobbled up opportunities to read more books. These books opened my eyes to the larger world and helped me to see what is possible. From my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Grimshaw, to Mrs. Russell Rader and Mr. Sewer, and many others in between, I am so grateful for your encouragement to read and learn more. And finally, an understanding of the role of government and history and language. Teachers like Mr. Grimshaw, Mr. Moore, Madam Kramer, Madam Gentis, Mrs. McDermott helped broaden the world and explain context through their lessons. They helped me see connections between how the world used to be and what the world is today. They provided a glimpse into other societies and cultures and taught me that there are many valuable lessons beyond what is outside our front doors. I wanted to highlight these skills intentionally because while we spend much of our time focusing on STEM and setting students up for success in their careers, these are the skills that help shape engaged members of our community. Service, leadership, being able to connect with others, to think critically, to have empathy, and to learn about others' life experiences. By highlighting these lessons, I don't mean to diminish the many other things I learned while I was here. Physics and calculus and chemistry helped me identify many of my own weaknesses. And while there's no love lost between me and those particular areas of skill, they instilled a respect and belief in science that have helped me to appreciate scientific advancements throughout my career. As you've heard, I've been exceptionally fortunate to have many people encouraging me and driving my success. I can't close without thanking my husband, Gary, for his unwavering support and cheerleading, my sweet daughters, Jay and Aria, who I hope are studying furiously for their finals, my nephew, Soren, who always makes me smile, and legions of dear friends, some of whom are here, and many of whom I met at Fairborn, who continue to care for me and who I turn to in my worst and best moments. I think we sometimes underestimate the impact of these intangible lessons, but in addition to reading, writing, and arithmetic, Fairborn City Schools are directly responsible for imparting these life skills that my classmates and I cultivated here. We owe a debt to our teachers and schools for believing in and investing in us. Thank you again for this honor.
Jason J. Lyons graduated from Fairborn High School in 1994. He earned an Associate of Law Enforcement Technology from St. Petersburg College, a Bachelor in Administration of Criminal Justice from Mountain State University, and a Master of Justice Administration from Norwich University. He served 8 years with the U.S. Army's Reserve Military Police Corps and then was employed for 15 years at the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office in Clearwater, Florida, where he reached the rank of lieutenant. He moved to Colorado and joined the Castle Rock Police Department, where he held many supervisory and command assignments, and he is now the Chief of Police for the Cherry Hills Village, Colorado Police Department. Jason has spent nearly 20 years as a professor at St. Petersburg College, Johnson & Wales University, and Arapahoe Community College. He teaches supervisor, command, and executive leadership for the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, and currently is a member of the Education and Training Committee of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. He holds numerous memberships in law enforcement groups and has received many honors, including the FBI LEDA Trilogy Award for Leadership. He and his wife Nikki and children Addison, Kendall, Carter, Madison, and Max reside in Cherry Hills Village. Superintendent Lawley, it is my honor to present Jason J. Lyons for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
All right, good evening. Thank you. That was one. That was nice. I speak for a living, so tonight, if it's okay, I'd like to just kind of keep this short and just make a couple of comments. Really just thank you, and one to acknowledge how cool this is for me that this occurred in the last year of Fairborn High School. It has been 30 years next month since I've stepped foot into this building, and it's very nostalgic for me, and hopefully I'll get to see a little bit more as the evening progresses. But the timing could not be better. I have enjoyed a successful life. I try to live a life of gratitude. But the one thing I have come to learn, and was mentioned earlier, is no such life it can be accomplished as a solo journey. I was raised here in Fairborn. I am a product of this community, from playing youth baseball and football at Ernie App Field, to my first job as a paper boy in my neighborhood, to seeing every inch of this town from the seat of my bicycle, and spending most weekends at Skyborn Skateland. I am Fairborn, and I am proud to be so. I had great influences in my life, and I just want to touch on the gratitude piece. I've had great influences in my life from coaches, Pee Wee coaches, Coach Fleming, Coach Turner, Coach Mixon, Coach Moore, to my neighbors, to the parents of my friends. And I did not know tonight that Barb McDermott was going to be here. I raided her refrigerator for years, and much of which she's probably not even aware of, which just makes for a cool story. But people like you, and I've never forgotten how you treated me. You treated me like one of your own, and it has made such an impact on me as an adult, and I could not be more grateful for you and people like you. Thank you so much for that. And to my teachers, early education teachers, my second grade teacher, Miss Moss, my third grade teacher, Miss Osborne, my fifth grade teacher, Miss Ricard, my sixth grade teacher, Mrs. Andrews. And that's been a long time ago, and I'll never forget the impact that they had. And I think that's probably true for most educators, and there's a lot of educators in the room. So I just want to take a moment and acknowledge the impact that you have, the profound impact that you have on students, or have had on students. Certainly not demonstrated by my GPA. And Mr. Gluck, you got B's? That's awesome. I've always wanted to feel what it might feel like to get a B. But I was listening. I heard and applied your lessons from an early age through adulthood. It's a good reminder to you all, again, how impactful and how profound you can be on the students. You may not even know that they're paying attention, but I assure you that they are. Continuing with gratitude, I was raised here in Fairborn, K through 12, actually. And I'm, again, so proud of that. I was raised here by a single mom, a strong woman who often worked 2 jobs to provide just enough for my brother and I. Not much more than just enough, but just enough. I credit her for everything: my work ethic, my humility, my care for others. And I could not be more thankful. And I know thanks is probably not enough, but my mom is here. And so, Mom, as you're videoing, thank you for everything you've done. I was not raised by my father, although I was so fortunate to have steps that I wanted to follow in professionally. My father, also a career police officer, embodied the job and demonstrated what it took to pursue a career that matters, a career that served a purpose bigger than your own. I want to acknowledge my wife, who's also here. She is so much of the reason we have the life that we do. She has endured so much of my professional life bleeding into our home. The stress, the late night phone calls, going out in the middle of the night, the missed events because of work conflicts. She puts up with so much and is undoubtedly the backbone of our family. I know I don't say it enough, but thank you and I love you. And lastly, my children. Like all of us, probably, I wish that they knew that all of this was for them. Every minute of every day, parents just try to do what's right. We try to demonstrate hard work, tenacity, devotion, service of a purpose bigger than you. Sometimes we succeed, and sometimes we feel like we fail, but yet we keep trying every single day. And I love my children. I'm proud of them as human beings, and although they are not perfect, neither is their dad. But tonight, I hope that I've done enough to make them proud and to remind them it was always for them. Thank you, Fairborn, for raising me. I am proud of where I came from and eternally grateful for you all. And a big thank you to the Fairborn High School, Fairborn City Schools for recognizing me tonight. Go Skyhawks. Thank you.
Marjorie Reynolds Gehring graduated in 1959 as co-valedictorian from North Gallia High School in Vinton, Ohio. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree from Rio Grande College and a Master of Education from Wright State. Her 35-year career with the Fairborn City Schools began when she was a second-grade teacher at Palmer Elementary School. She established the first class for students with learning disabilities in the Fairborn schools, and she became the school district's first special education supervisor. She earned one of Ohio's first certifications for special education, served on several state-level special education programming committees, and was instrumental in developing Ohio's standards for students with disabilities. Marge was involved with the Greene County Special Olympics for 25 years and was an active member of the First Presbyterian Church in Fairborn, the Order of the Eastern Star, and the Council for Exceptional Children. She won numerous awards, including the Miami Valley Special Education Center's Outstanding Educator Award in 1997. She passed away on December 3rd, 2023, and leaves behind her husband Lloyd, daughters Kimberly and Cheryl, grandchildren Tyler, Austin, Olivia, Brittany, and great-grandchildren Jeremiah, Jaden, Mason, Jace, Tyson, Pollyanna, and Jonah. Superintendent Lally, it is my honor to present Marjorie Reynolds Gehring for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
My name is Olivia Keaton, and I'm Marge Gehring's only granddaughter. Myself, my mom Cheryl, and my Aunt Kim are here tonight with me to represent my grandmother's induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor. I was supposed to come up here and say a lot of facts about her, but she pretty much covered all of it. But she was always focused on everyone else but herself, and I think I want to focus more on her. She was one of the nicest people I've ever met. She wanted to treat everyone fairly and with kindness. She loved the color purple. She always carried around a bag with a first aid kit. Whenever you got a splinter, she was the first to help pick it out. She always she picked us up from school. She focused after her retirement on just her grandchildren and helping out when my mom would work during the day. And so she picked us up from school, gave us snacks, fed us dinner, and made sure our homework got done. My grandma formed many special bonds with other teachers and staff in Fairborn, and in fact, one of her best friends, Linda Beaver, nominated her for this honor. My grandma, along with my mom and aunt, volunteered countless hours with the Greene County Special Olympics. She was also very involved with their church. She was there every Sunday. After her retirement, my grandma dedicated her time to her grandchildren. Anyone who ever had the pleasure of meeting her, she would know that she only had kindness in her heart and was a gentle spirit. She wanted everyone to be treated with respect and kindness no matter what. She would absolutely be thrilled to be here today and be nominated for this. Education was very important to her and was her whole life, and she made sure it was very important to us too. She never let us disrespect any of our teachers. She always made sure our homework was done, our assignments were finished. She always kept all the gifts her students would make for her. She always kept every pin that they gave her. She wore one every single day when she taught. Unfortunately, she did pass on December 3rd, 2023, and before it was announced that she was selected for this honor. But I know she knew about it. She would be greatly honored. On behalf of Marge's family, we thank those who recognized her commitment and dedication to education and her devotion to Fairborn City Schools.
Michael L. Yeary graduated in 1969 from Fairborn High School, where he was an exceptional student athlete in basketball, track, and field. He was an All-Western Ohio League and All-Greater Dayton Basketball Award winner and Scholastic Magazine's honorable mention for All-American Basketball. He earned a bachelor's degree in 1973 from Austin Peay University, where he played Division I baseball and basketball. He was employed for 30 years at FlowServe, where he was national sales manager, responsible for overseeing sales and service throughout the nation. His major love has been in coaching young athletes and supporting youth sports programs. Mike developed and managed a youth basketball program for young children and committed to many years of volunteer work with Fairborn Little League, including being its president for 10 years. Beyond coaching and mentoring youth, he has worked to fundraise financial support and has been instrumental in enhancing the Fairborn City Schools' athletic programs and facilities. Because of his total commitment to youth sports and his outstanding school basketball record, he was inducted into the Fairborn City Schools Athletic Hall of Fame. He and his wife, Linda, reside in Fairborn and cherish the moments with their children, Michelle, Ryan, Troy, Todd, Jason, and their 9 grandchildren. Superintendent Lawley, it is my honor to present Michael L. Yeary for induction into the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor.
Good evening. Mr. Lawley, the Board of Education, and the committee, I thank you very much. I'm very humbled to this honor. I went through all 12 years of my schooling here in Fairborn, graduating in 1969. I'd like to recognize 3 of my teachers. The sad thing, I went through all my teachers and coaches before I wrote this. I have 2 coaches that are still alive and 2 teachers that are still alive. And it's sad that all the great minds are gone. The first I'd like to recognize is my 5th grade teacher at Central Elementary, Miss Lenny Hagan. I don't know if any of you remember Mrs. Hagan. She was tough. She was tough. She was a math freak, and she emphasized handwriting, which I've never had good handwriting. But math, she set the table. We worked about square roots in the 5th grade, and she lit a fire under me there. Second teacher is Miss Karen Whaley Atkins. I know you remember her. We got her first year out of college. And we thought we were going to run roughshod over her. Well, we lost. She was tough, but what a great teacher. When I got into algebra after her and I needed tutoring, she was always the person I went to. And she really was able to connect with us. I loved her so much. She's still with us. The last teacher is from the high school, Mr. Fred Ruffner. And a lot of you have had Mr. Ruffner, and he was tough. You got an A in his class, you busted your tail to get it. And he was my favorite teacher of all time. High school, college, anything postgraduate that I did, he was my favorite. I wish I could have told him that. But he motivated me very much. Aside from my schooling, my life changed drastically my freshman year at Central. My father passed away from cancer. And it was a real shock. Now, some of you know my mother. Now, she was tough. Now, think of this, all of you. Here's a woman, just lost her husband, 40 years old, with 5 kids at home, 2 preschool. And you talk about pressure. Our family never missed a beat. And they never missed a beat because Mom knew she had to go to work. Of all places, where did Mom get her job? The Fairborn City Schools. And that was so neat. She started out in the janitorial department, cleaning classrooms, cleaning toilets, doing anything. And then when the school started, she worked in the cafeteria. She worked a serving line. And Louis Reed told me one time, every teacher went through your mom's line. Said because she knew what it took to feed a person, and not that little scoop that the school gave you. She'd give you a couple big scoops, and the teachers were all in her line. So I said, you know, Mom got a job at the schools. Why don't I get a job at the schools? So I went up, I got a job working next to my mom at the schools, cleaning classrooms, doing all the dirty stuff. And we made $1 an hour. That was, you could go downtown and create inflation with $1 an hour. About my boss and her boss was a gentleman named Melvin McLeod. I don't know if any of you remember Mac. That was his nickname, but his real name that everyone had known him as was Grumpy. And there was a reason that they called him Grumpy. He was tough. He taught me very early on that when work started at 8 o'clock, it wasn't time to go get a cup of coffee. It wasn't time to go wash up or things. You started work at 8 o'clock. Mr. McLeod was so good to work for. Every child should have a first job working for him because he will lead you the right way. About 3 weeks into the summer, he took me aside and said, Mike, are you afraid of heights? And I go tell my boss no. I said, yeah, I love heights. Well, a couple weeks later, he had 2 gentlemen. They were custodians, Mr. John Taylor and Sonny Webb. Some of you may remember them. They said, come on, we're changing lights in the field house today. I said, okay. So I got up on the scaffold, and they would send me a light up at a time. And I'd be lying back and changing them. I said, why are we changing good lights? He said, because Mr. Baker says we change every light. I said, boy, Mr. Baker must get a lot of money from those people to have that many lights to change. But Gene told me the other day, the amount of money that Fairborn City Schools received from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base back then was massive. And we had a lot of money in this town. About the next week, they come to me and says, we got another high job for you. Okay. Said we need to change every light in the stadium. 16 years old, wearing a harness, climbing up them stairs. They'd send my lunch up to me. They'd send the light bulbs up to me. Everything. We changed the lights. But I want you to know, I got an extra $quarter an hour for being the high man. That was neat. What you could do with a $quarter an hour in Fairborn? Now I'm going to bring back some old names. You could go down the street to Andy's, and Big Sam would give you an extra scoop of ice cream. He didn't care. He would take care of you. You go on down to Dan's Pool Hall, get a burger. This is still on my 25 cents an hour. Some people said the Snack Shack had the best burgers in town. Well, I thought Dan's did. You go next door to Mr. Foy, and you could get that candy that they weighed out. And it always seems that the women that worked for him would always give you a little extra scoop there. So that was neat. Then you go down Sloan's Drugstore. And Miss Wilmer ran the kitchenette there. And she had a drink called a vanilla phosphate. Best drink I'd ever had. Now, Graders has that. So you can go there and said that Mike said that to try this. Now, when you left there, you could walk across the street to the Rubens Pharmacy. We had 3 pharmacies within 200 yards on Main Street. So you could go to Rubens, you could get a magazine. This is all on that 25 cents extra. And Mr. Rubin was one of the nicest men that ever lived. When my dad was sick, and he was suffering very badly, my mom went to Mr. Rubin and says, "Hey, I need something to help. I cannot keep the pain down." So Mr. Rubin gave her a vial of morphine. So she'd go up and give Dad shots to keep him at ease. And it wouldn't take long and that jar of morphine was done. She'd call him back, he'd get her another bottle. Nowadays, they'd say, "Oh, he's giving away opioids." No, he was doing something very nice, never sent Mom a bill, never did anything. But if you remember him, he was the nicest man. One other thing I didn't find out until years later is that Mr. Rubin paid for all my athletic shoes through high school. And Fairborn is loaded right now with Mr. Rubin's. Serving on a committee to put turf on the new football field, new baseball field, the practice field that we got. You wouldn't believe the number of people who opened up their pockets and were very generous to the schools. I'm not here to beg for money, but I'm telling you, if you can help anyone in this school system, do it. It doesn't matter if it's music. And while I'm on music, if you ever see the new Performing Arts Center at the new high school, it is the gem of the high school. It is beautiful. And when people start seeing that, people from other towns see it, they're going to say, "Why don't we come bring our kids to Fairborn?" Because come August, we've got the best facilities around. You know, we're closing a school that's been there 75 years. And you think of that, how many of you as parents, grandparents, everybody went to school at Fairborn High School or Baker. What great bones that school had. And this school here, what great bones this school's had. It's been here for 50 plus years. You think we had Central, Baker, and this school here. But we were very lucky to have them. After I came back from college, I got a job at Flowserve/Duriron. We had 2,000 people working in Dayton. Right now, there's not a one. It shows you we lost the General Motors plants, and in Fairborn, Southwestern Portland and Universal Atlas cement plants employed many, many people. And we can never leave out Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Wright-Patterson was Fairborn. So many kids came and went. And back then, the military had come in here, and 1 or 2 years later, they were gone. And I've tried to look up former classmates, and you can't find them. I was very fortunate to have tough guys. And that, I talked about Grumpy McLeod. But I played basketball for a gentleman, Jake Brummett, who was easygoing. But if you played for him, you knew that when you crossed the line, he wasn't easygoing. He was tough. And I also was lucky enough to play basketball for Jack Gaho. Now, he was tough, and he was mean. And I called Jack this afternoon down in Florida just to tell him how much I thought of him. And we had the nicest conversation. And it was so good to hear his voice, and he said nice things to me that we shared together. Now, in closing, I want to talk about 5 things. The 5 F's of Mike Geary. That wasn't my grades, but the 5 F's. The first is faith. You got to have faith. You got to have a supreme being. But have faith. Faith in your partners. Faith in the people that you surround yourself with. Don't surround yourself with bad people. The second F is family. Family is so important. I lost my mother and father, and I lost my brother, Butch. Now, everyone needs a brother named Butch. But I lost them. But I got 3 sisters, all of who's here tonight. A lovely wife is here tonight. And I'm going to just give you one story on my wife. Is that 7 years ago, I had a horrible stroke. Horrible stroke. I was in the hospital for 135 days. And many of my classmates came to see me. And they had my hands tied to the bed. I couldn't hardly talk. I couldn't cut my food. I couldn't do anything. But thanks from the Supreme Being and great physical therapy. You gotta have great therapy to come over something like that. But family, my wife, my 5 kids here tonight, my 9 grandchildren are all here tonight. And I tell you, when you get to the point you got grandkids, you got the world lit. Yeah. So, and those are grandkids. Now that went to family. The third is your friends. And believe me, I got friends here tonight. I got friends. Classmates are here, people I haven't seen in years, former teammates, former players that played for me out at Little League, people who played in my basketball organization, that I'm humbled by the number of people that showed up tonight. Number 4, F, Fairborn. Everyone talks how neat it is to be here tonight, how important Fairborn's been in their lives. Everything I've got is because of Fairborn, because I got a good education and Fairborn opened all the doors for me. But when you come to the new school this next fall, you will see on the field where it says Vikings, Flyers, and Skyhawks. It's a good way to bring the town back together. But I want everyone here to know that Mike Geary is forever a Flyer. Thank you.
Almost. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your attendance at tonight's celebration of pride, appreciation, and inspiration. These outstanding sons and daughters of Fairborn have accomplished outstanding achievements in their chosen fields, have brought great pride to Fairborn schools and the Fairborn community, and have made great contributions to people, communities, and causes. we are richer because their lives have touched us. May I present to you for combined recognition, thankful and tribute of appreciation, the Fairborn City Schools Hall of Honor, Class of 2024.